How did it come about that you got this opportunity to put this facility here?
So what we had originally was a whole load of videos on the website. And as good as videos are, you just don't get the experience when you're watching it on a screen. So about 2 years ago, we opened up our showroom up in Ipswich, and we had an open day and it was great. And the people that came up loved it. No one wants to go to Ipswich. It's a very long way. So we do the visual merchandise and display show every year. We decided to open up a London showroom, and our first call was this place. We had a look around, we found this, and it was originally a banking office. There was some good furniture left over, so we decided to do it here. And I think the main reason is that people would come in and actually try it and see it themselves.
Now, as you've been here, what sort of audience have you gotten in the space? What sort of people are showing up and having this experience?
So we have had multiple different types of people coming in, all the way from marketing to creative agencies to direct brands have been in. We've also had escape room builders. We've had all types of people that come through. So even AV companies have been in to have a look to see what we can do and how we can work with them. And even they've kind of gone, oh.
What do you find is the key thing that you need to show to people for them to understand the potential of what you're doing with all of this installation?
So it does look quite retail-y when you first come in, but actually when you look at what we're doing, it applies to pretty much any type of vertical. So it's an easy way to show people with product because it's a small thing that they can try out. We've got everything from switchable glass, which we started off as a test piece for the toilets in the office. We decided to try projecting on it and it kind of turned into this. So we've got lots of different examples of that. We've got RFID for us is a really simple and cost-efficient way of using interaction. We've got electromagnetic sensors, we've got QR scanners, we've got pretty much the whole load of different ideas.
There is a perspective in the world that people think of media in rectangles and they think of it as something you look at. I've noticed that this space is about play. Tell me about how that has landed with people and how you find that they react when they come to understand it's not about observation, but participation.
Absolutely, everyone wants to tell a story now. Things have gone from being very kind of look and walk past to actually get your hands on and experience it. I think experience is definitely the right word at the moment.
We're in a world where we see LED screens everywhere. Certainly if we go to Oxford Circus or Times Square or even a lot of retail stores, it's really been trending towards LED. But I see that you seem to be really leaning into projection. Why projection as your medium of choice?
So everyone has the concept that projection has to be really flat in a dark environment, and we're showing that it's not. It doesn't have to be. Yes, we are projection experts and that's our main focus. We do LED as well. We're trying to educate people on what the products can do in terms of projection. So by having all these different uses in different ways with different projectors, brightnesses, throw ratios, it just shows what you can do.
I've also noticed that out there you've got projection happening and screens. So you haven't abandoned LED, but you're putting things together, even printed mediums. What do you find the advantage is to mixing the mediums and putting it all together into one experience?
Everyone has the view that LED and projection has to be separate, but actually we've got examples in here where we're mixing vinyl print with screens and projection because you can really make an extra bit of theatre out of it. Rather than just having something that is fixed on the screen, you can have something that then elaborates into the world as well.
One of the things I love about what you have out there is it's not just like an advertisement. It's not just like marketing media. It feels to me more like theatrical. Tell me about what your experience is and what your client's reaction is to making something more than just an ad and more of an experience.
So a great example is IKEA. We actually won the Creative Retail Award for technology, and they had that in there for 2.5 years. They didn't change the content. Everything was left as it is. And it had such good feedback. So as people were walking through, it was creating that buzz and that excitement of, oh, what's that appearing here? What can we do here? And actually how to use some of their product. Even an interactive table, how can they use a table? And that as an interactive surface on one of their products just made all the difference.
Some people think that something like this is complicated to put in. Is it easy to shift what happens with an experience like this? Could a customer easily change the content of something after you've installed it?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got really simple content management tool that we haven't created ourselves. We work with the right partners. We focus on what we do best. So we're using a really simple web portal that then works with larger installations like the immersive room on Hippo to something that's 300 screens rather than the USB key that goes into all the different things.
One of the things I loved about seeing what you're doing out there is how you're using Hippotizer. And you're probably a power user of our Shape feature. Tell me about what Shape has enabled you to do with the technology and the end result.
When I started using Hippo, I actually came in on version 4. So I've never used a screen warp or anything like that. For me, I've always worked with Cinema 4D and things like that. So the 3D effects and the 3D world, for me, is really simple.
One of the important things that we've really been doubling down on it is that our customers are our collaborators. Have you had that experience in working with our team? Like, have you found that I need this feature or I would like to add this element? And what has it been like to work with us as a team as your collaborator in creating experience?
Depending on what time of day it is, whether you get America or whether you get the UK, anytime there has been an issue, we've had a huge amount of help, remote support, but also making sure that it's sorted for the next release or even a patch that's been created there and then to make sure it's fixed.
I noticed that one of the things you're doing a lot of in here is projecting on glass. Tell me about that medium and the opportunities it's given you.
It's more about creating that theatre. So when someone sees projection, so in here we've got back projection on the glass, people see it as a screen and they don't expect it to be anything but. So when it goes clear and they can see through and we've got the mapped room that goes around it, that creates that depth again. That's what really surprises them.
One thing that I've noticed that you've done in here is you're working at different angles. You're working with volume. The room we're sitting in, for instance, is completely immersed in projection. What becomes the result that's possible when you take it off of one screen and make it into an architecture, a room, a space?
So pretty much anything is possible. We do have a client who is building a Dungeons and Dragons themed room in their house. There's mapping all over the walls. When they came in to have a chat and look at what we're going to do from a content point of view, we threw something together. And when he sat down in here, he was immersed in this whole play area on the table, dungeon style wall all around. So it just really helped him see what could happen. Once they see it, they can then, it opens their mind to what is possible because all they've seen is videos. And again, you don't get that same experience when you watch a video. We have had a certain flying company in and they've sat here and they played on a flight simulator. So for about 3-4 hours, they were in here having a great time.
I know that a question that I get asked by agencies all the time, especially when they're contemplating the kind of spend that they're going to make on a big multimedia installation, is what's my return on investment? Do you find that the technologies that you're deploying give you an ability to show them afterward how people have engaged and what their return on investment is? Are we at a point where we've gotten that holy grail?
So we've found a partner that we've worked with for a while now, and all of the interactive states in here can all pass that information back to one central dashboard, so you can view it online anywhere. You can then link it in with POS systems or whatever it is, so that you can see where the disparity is as well.
I find that there are extraordinary opportunities projecting on things that are not flat. Is that difficult? And how has our tool set helped you to do that? And what happens when you do?
So we tend to pass on work if it's just a flat surface that's quite simple and boring. We're more creative led. So the less flat, the better. So we've done multiple projects. In fact, actually the Queen's Hotel, that was using Shape. So if we'd just done that on a 2D surface, it would have been a very different process. But actually using Shape, we had a 3D LiDAR scan, and we were using that to align the points to make it much quicker and easier to set up.
We were alluding earlier to this all feels a little theatrical. Theatrical is a collaborative art form. Have you tried to educate your clients about what's possible with these mediums, and then found yourself working a process with them where you're helping them to explore it and you're working together to get to the end result?
Yeah, we obviously work in many different ways. Every time that we're doing a project, we will say to the creative team that are doing the content, send us a work in progress, ask us any questions. We're here to help. We're not just here to receive the artwork and put it on the building. We're part of that process. We create content internally. We also work with external agencies, but also a lot of clients that come to us have their own agency that will create the content. We tend to work collaboratively where we'll supply a template and then we'll supply a 3D model so that they can test it as well.
I know that I've been running into a lot of applications for machine learning and AI, both in terms of how we use it with the tech but also how we use it with content. How has it been impacting your workflow, and have you been seeing it being deployed by your customers?
Yes, we've used a few AI-generated images, but the biggest issue with that is that most of them are restricted to 1920 by 1080 or a specific aspect ratio. If you look at something like the immersive room, that's a very different, and it can't cope with it.
You've talked about having all manner of people coming through here. Do their eyes light up? Do you think that they get what the potential of this kind of medium is by seeing this installation?
So the Experience Centre has actually opened huge amounts of doors and dialogue to the point where actually we've had 2 large contracts already. So they've come in, seen it, brought in all the rest of the team, and now they've signed contracts for installation. We've had some clients come in and go, wow, we've never seen anything like this. We've taken people into the server rack room a few times because they want to understand how certain things work.
I love the array of technology partners you work with. Certainly, we've really enjoyed working with you. Have you surprised them in showing them what is possible with their kit beyond the thing that they thought was what their users were going to do with it?
It's really interesting to see the reactions, because obviously they're there to sell the product, but actually we're here to show what you can do with that product. So it's been a great relationship because they have provided us with a lot of equipment. From our point of view, it's showing off what we can do with it, not what here's a box. It's been an interesting conversation, and I think there's a lot more conversations to have. What we've also found is that people are bringing in their clients as well. And that's across agency and suppliers.
We get excited every time we pick up the phone and you're on the other end of it, because we're about to engage on a new adventure and discover something new. Do you have the same experience with all of your tech providers? Are you finding that they're surprised when you call, but then they're ready to go to the next step with what they're making and then what you're doing with it?
Yeah, to the point where they've actually turned around and said, oh, I didn't think we could do that with our product. For us, it's about providing that feedback and actually seeing it change. And a lot of suppliers don't work like that. Grid Hippo, where we've actually said, this could really use putting in, and it gets put in. In the next release, it's there. There's so many different use cases for different servers. Every job has a different tool that's going to be right for it. But if you have a tool that is much more usable in a variation of different projects, it's going to be our go-to.
Do you think that we're heading to a future where every space, whether it's the classroom or the civic space or the entertainment space, the places we learn, the places that we have commerce, are we looking at a future where every space becomes a space like this?
I think it's going to get to a certain point, the same with screens. Everything gets saturated and people ignore it because it's so commonplace. So I think it's going to be a case of finding a way forward that actually is going to keep that surprise and delight, rather than just, oh look, there's another space that's surrounded with projection.
All right, where are we in 1 year with all of this?
Well, in an ideal world, we'll still be here and we'll still keep this on for a much longer period of time, because it's been so valuable to show people and open doors and talk to different people. Over the next year, especially with the projects that have coming from having this Experience Centre, it's going to be a very interesting, very hard working, but a really cool year.